So here we are on this wonderful day surrounded by the lilies of the field yet again. And look at them. They become betterer and betterer and betterer every time we see them. They're glowing and they're growing and they're just saying, we can't wait to be taken home by some wonderful person to be cared for and become more of ourselves as a consequence of that. Isn't it wonderful? And yet, no matter how beautiful they are, they pale in comparison to the beauty and grace that lives within you. And the question today is that growing and expanding, and are you taking good care of it? It's good to think about, but that's a topic in and of itself. Today we're looking at this thing called living and giving. Living and giving. We usually, think in terms of life as, living and getting on with it. But I want us all to add today giving, especially when we think we have nothing to give. That's the most important time of all to be looking at living and giving. When things begin to seem scarce and things begin to seem to shut down as far as the flow of our good is concerned, that's the time when we have to look and see, what is it I have to give? What is it I have to bring to the table? And there's always something. I always have something I can share no matter what it is. And it's important for me, especially in those times when things seem very scarce, that I produce something and give something, because I'm seeding my good when I do that. I'm keeping the flow going when I do that. And it's hard and it's difficult and it's scary and all of that, but that doesn't mean it's not doable. It just means it's hard. And we're equal to the challenge of doing things that are hard at times to begin with. And then when we do it, we find out, oh my goodness me, look at that, it works. It really does work, this law of reciprocity. What goes around comes around. What I give, I get back, pressed down, spilling over, and overflowing. And so the story goes. There was a hiker up in the mountains, and enjoying his beautiful hike, he came to a stream. It was a lovely stream, and he was contemplating the stream. And as he did, he saw this shining, bright little stone in the stream, and he thought, "Ooh, that's nice." And he bent down, and he took it out, and he picked it up, and he said, "Gorgeous." Put it in his bag, and on he went. He was caught up with later by a wanderer who was in the mountains too. And the man was a little tired and weary, and he was hungry as well. And so they began a conversation, and the hiker invited him to share his meal. So he went over to his bag to get the food out, and as he did, the wanderer saw the bright, shiny stone. And he was very enamored by it. And the hiker said to him, "I see that you're very taken with my little bright, shiny stone." And he says, "Yes, I am, as a matter of fact." He said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "I just picked that up this morning, and it was just so wonderful. I just thought, it said to me, I'm here for you." And I picked it up, and I put it in my bag. And they talked about it for a while as they were eating their sandwiches and so on. And then the wanderer said to the man, "I wonder by any chance, would you be inclined to give that stone to me?" And the hiker thought for a moment, and he thought, "Sure, why not? Here you go. You seem to really appreciate it. You can have it." So as the wanderer, now full of tummy, skipped down the mountainside thinking, "Oh my goodness me, this is a precious gem. I'll never have to worry about a thing for the rest of my days. I have this wonderful treasure." And he pondered this, and he pondered this, and he pondered this for several days. And at the end of several days, he thought, I've got to find this man again. And so he set off back up the mountain, and he knew the trail that the man was taking. And he knew how long he was going to be on the trail. And eventually he caught up with them. And the hiker was surprised to see him. And he said, "Since you gave me the stone, I really have been thinking about it an awful lot." And he said, "I came to a decision." And he said, "I want to return this stone to you. I want to return it. It's a very valuable, very precious stone, and I want to return it to you. But I do have something to ask of you still." And he said, "I wonder if you would give to me whatever it was inside of you that helped you to give me that stone when I asked that stone from you. Would you please give that to me? Whatever that is that's inside of you that moved you to give me that stone when I asked that stone from you. That would be more valuable than any precious stone I could have." And so the moral of the story is, the moral of the story is that when we give stuff and things, the gift is small by comparison to the gift we give of ourselves. When we give away material things, the gift is small by comparison to the gift we give away of ourselves. And we all know what that means, the gift of self, in our own way. And all of the spiritual books speak to that. All of the spiritual books will tell us that the greatest of all gifts is the gift of the self. Indeed, boldly, Emerson says, and I take poetic license, he says, when you give stuff and things, they are not the gift. They are the apology for the gift that should be given. Now, of course, when he says that, he's talking to those of us who just give stuff and things and rarely, if ever, give of ourselves. He's just talking to those of us who think that when we give stuff and things, that takes care of it. He's talking about those few, and I'm knowing they're few, very self-centered parents who can't be bothered to give to their children the time, effort, and energy it requires to grow relationships with children and help them to flourish and thrive. But instead of that, they overgive to them of stuff and things. That's just one example. We have millions of examples. And that's a very harsh example, actually. But that's what he's talking about. You can't compensate for not giving of yourself by giving stuff and things, if you want to spiritually mature, that is. If you want to spiritually mature, otherwise go ahead, give all the stuff and things you want away. But it's not going to do you any good, that's for sure. And so, in our gift giving, there are all kinds of ways in which we can be givers of gifts. All kinds of ways. There are endless ways. And why ought we to be givers of gifts? Because when Spirit decided to express itself and know itself by means of us, that was a decision by Spirit to gift the world with its own self in the form of you. So you and I are the essential gift of life back onto itself. That's why we are the gift. The only reason why we're here is because we're a gift to life. We're a gift to the world. We're a gift to creation. And so, being in the image and likeness of the Creator, we too have the same definition as the Creator has, the givingness of life back onto itself. You hear me say this expression all of the time, because it's the only thing you and I have to learn, that each one of us is the givingness of life back onto itself. Well, if that's the case, it must mean that we are super abundant, that we have this amazing fullness and plenty to give from. That's what that means. It truly does. So this week we're asked to look, take an inventory, to look, examine ourselves along the line of how we are showing up as the gift. And as I say, there are many ways in which we can give. So there are first and foremostly the gifts of mind, tremendous gifts of mind. We can make that gift wondrous or not so wondrous, depending upon how we are giving of our thoughts, our ideas, our opinions, and our declarations. Are our thoughts, ideas, opinions, and declarations something that's life-giving to myself and life-giving to all else besides? Or is it a very badly given gift in the sense that my thoughts, my ideas, my opinions, and my declarations are not things that uplift, but actually things that tear down? Not things that give life, but take away from life. Not things that encourage and advance, but quite the opposite in the way I gift from my mind. There are good gifts and not such good gifts. We all know that. So we look at that. how we're doing mind-wise. Then there are the gift of words, the gift of words. Oh my goodness, a word sometimes can really save us, can really cheer us, can really uplift us, can really help us to mend and to fix and to heal. And on the other hand, a word at times can knock us down and injure us and take from us and deplete us. We know this. And why is this so? It's because we live in a dualistic world. We live in the world of opposites, good, bad, you know, light, darkness, you know, kindness, selfishness, and so on and so forth. And until you and I transcend the life of duality that we're all engaged in, we're going to have these challenges of choice. Do I choose the light? Do I choose the darkness? Do I choose to stay the blessing, or do I choose to stay the curse? What way do I go? And mostly we're doing random choosing. We're not really aware of what we're choosing, but the results come to us, and then we know, because what we put out comes right back to us. We have the domino effect, you know. What goes out comes back. It's a boomerang thing. And it's contagious, whatever it is we put out there. We grow it, and it comes back to us, pressed down and spilling over on the negative side of life as well as the positive side of life. So we have to be very careful with these words that can kill or can cure. One way or another, kill the spirit or cure the spirit. A poet once wrote, you know, the marks from the lash can sear the very bone, but the marks from the lash of the tongue can kill. And so you know yourself in your own life. Somebody said something to you when you're 4 years of age and you still remember it, and it still hurts you when you think about it, whatever that is. On the other hand, somebody once said something to you when you were at a low ebb, and it picked you up so much, and when you think about it, you just feel light again. It's an amazing thing how a word can be a gift, how a word can be a cure or not, as the case may be. There are gifts then of our talent, but how do we show up in the gifting of our talent? You know, do we come from that sense of joyousness and generosity and happy to do it and keen and eager to help out? Or when we give from the gifts of our talents, are we saying, oh, here we go again, I have to do this, and we feel begrudging and we feel obliged and we feel all of the burden of it all and all the shades in between? Where are we in the way we give our talents? I'm just going to do this to get it off my back, or whatever, you see. And then there are the gifts, of course, there are the gifts of spirit, which of course are the gifts of the heart. And we all have those gifts of spirit deeply sown within us. And the gifts of the heart would be wisdom and understanding and counsel and knowledge and courage and joy and peace and vision and all that is good and whole and wholesome that is of the spirit. These are gifts of the heart, the gifts of spirit, you see. And when we do give, are we giving from our fullness and our plenty, that in mind, or are we giving from our, you know, our emptiness and our sense of, you know, inadequacy or whatever that is? Because all of this depends upon a thought that you and I are thinking, a feeling that you and I are entertaining. I am my thoughts, I am my feelings. And I get to choose what my thoughts and my feelings are. That's why we come here. We come here because we're responding to the invitation that is given here to change our thinking, change our feeling, and change our whole lives as a result of that. That's why we come here. We want to get that more firmly and deeply. So we have the checklist that we can use this week to look at and see where we are with this givingness of life back onto itself by means of me. Now, I would suggest to all of us, let us all do good unto others before others do good unto us. And then we're really getting the benefit. We truly, really are. It ponders, in my mind, I'm ponderous all of the time when I look at myself and look at everybody else besides, and I listen to people a lot, and I think, here we all are, each individual one of us, created from love as love, to be love. And yet, look, even those of us who are endeavoring spiritually get it so wrong at times. What happens to our awareness of that? How quickly we forget. How quickly we forget. We are love here to be that love and give that love and bring that love and contribute that love and share that love and give that love away. It's the only reason why we're here. Interesting, isn't it? And yet, here we are, these amazing spiritual beings, all over identified with the smallness of ourselves, which is the humanity of ourselves, and all caught up in the world of the material and the world of the senses and the world of, you know, the ego. And that stops us and blocks us and causes us to go into spiritual amnesia and forget the truth of our being, the who of us, the what of us, and the whose we are. That's what gets us into forgetfulness. We get caught up in what we're seeing, the material world, and what we're experiencing as an egoic human being, forgetting that we are so much more than that. And that the true identity of ourselves is that we are life in expression, love in expression, spirit in expression, and that is the eternal aspect of us, and that is the continuum of us, and that is the essence of us that goes on and on and on, not the material body. Not the material body. There is nothing that you will have accumulated, or I, that we will take with us into our next life's experience, no matter how fantastic all of that is. Nothing, nothing, nothing of the material world will go with us, not even our bodies. However, all of our spiritual wealth and accumulations will. So the best dividends I could have are the ones I gain from the givingness of myself back onto life in sacred service. And we are here in sacred service. Not that it has to be a drudgery at all. It's a joy, it's a delight when we get into the practice and habit of giving back onto life. And understanding then in the experience that we have as a result of that, that life gives us back far more than we give to it, because we cannot outdo the infinite in generosity. It's impossible. It's a good game to try and do that. It's a fun game to do that, and it's a great game to do that. And I will guarantee everybody in this room that if we live our lives being good wherever we are, bringing good wherever we are, we will live a very happy life indeed, a very joyous life indeed, because there's no joy sweeter than going to your bed at night knowing I made a difference in someone's life today. Because of me being in that person's life today, they are the better for it, because I allowed myself to be the generosity of spirit and expression. That's an incredible thing to be able to succeed and achieve. You know, at the end of our days, coming near the end of our days, for some of us who are conscious enough, the divine infinite spirit within us will ask us certain questions. And the questions will go something like, well, you know, how have you lived? How have you loved? How did you give? Have you been kind? Where there was darkness, did you bring some light? Where there was sadness, did you bring some joy? Where there was anger, did you bring some comfort and ease? Where there was hatred, did you bring peace? Where there was exclusion, did you allow inclusion? Where there was ignorance, did you bring some wisdom? And the list goes on, as you might know. Those will be the kind of questions that will come to our mind, not, oh my gosh, I should have invested in that and not in this. I would have had a better return. And too bad I didn't reach that handicap in golf that I always wanted to reach. And really and truly, I'm so sorry I never got to take that trip because I wanted to see that place. None of that is on a person's mind when they're making their transition. I know, because I've assisted a lot of people making their transition. Do you know what's on their mind? One thing and one thing alone. People, loved ones, and the feeling, I wish I had been more for them. I wish I had been there more for them. I wish I had done more for them. I wish I could have given more to them. That's what's on their mind, and that's the only thing on their mind. So let's not wait until we get there to be wishing that we coulda, shoulda, woulda. But let's be that now. So when that moment comes, it's a fabulous moment. It's a delightful moment. It's a, gee, I can't wait to get over there and see what's on the other side. Because I'm finished here. I've tied up all my loose ends. I did everything I could possibly think of doing. And I'm ready now for my next level. I'm ready for graduation. I'm ready for advancement, and I want to go on. And I know everybody will be taken care of that I'm leaving behind, because that's the nature of life, to take care of its own. That's the way you and I want to go. Remember, giving is advancing ourselves. Giving is receiving. Giving is receiving. There's no other way to receive except to give. And we must give regardless of circumstances, situations, and so on. Whatever it is we can give, whether it's the widow's penny, the widow's mite in Scripture. All she had was that. Greatly rewarded as a result of that, whatever that is. I always have something to give. I'm never bereft in that way, but I always have something to give, from the gift of my mind, from the gift of my heart. There's plenty to give. If I can just get over myself and myself tendency to be preoccupied with my own wants and wishes and needs. The best way to turn my life around is to know, you know what? I may be down on my luck just now, but that's not the truth of me. That's not what I am. That's just a circumstance, and I am not my circumstances. I am more than my circumstances, and I am rich. When I didn't have 2 pennies to scratch up against each other, when I was at college and starting out first teaching in high school in a private school that paid a pittance really, I always said to myself, thank God I'm rich. Thank God I'm rich, because I felt rich, healthy, and with infinite possibilities before me, with a mind that could be used to the good and so on. And I told myself in my downest moments when it came to stuff and things, thank God I am rich. And it worked for me. It worked for me, and I endeavored to give of the little that I had. In college, when other college students would come up, I shared with another college student, we would be so glad to have a protein for our meal that day, you know? And maybe we would have, a piece of some kind of protein, regardless of what it was. 2 other students would show up, guess what? We'd cut the protein in half. We had big plates of rice and big plates of pasta and big plates, plenty of all of starchy stuff, but the protein sometimes was lean. And we had more fun and more joy and more delight over that. I had a jumper that somebody gave me for Christmas one year, and I lived across the road from Marks and Spencer's. Now, Marks and Spencer's is kind of like Nordstrom's in England. I lived across the road from that, and I'd be ready to put it on upcoming event or something, and a couple of students would come in. They didn't have enough rent. I'd be going over to Marks and Spencer and saying, can I have my money back, please? They give me my money back. I give it to them. I get the money back. I go over, buy the jumper again. I bought that jumper, I can't tell you how many times. And guess what? I never even wore it, because the last time I brought it back, I left it back. But I was using Marks and Spencer's as a kind of a pawn shop, you know what I mean? And we had great times and great fun and great laughter and great mirth, and we just loved it all. And we never complained, because we had the joy of each other and the helping of each other and the support of each other, the community of each other, the camaraderie of each other. And it didn't matter, all for one and one for all. That's the way it worked out. And why do we have to lose that sense that we had when we were in those college halcyon days? We never have to lose that. It's still the same. People will have their needs around us. Some of our friends sometimes will be down. We give them a hand. We may need their help at times. They give us a hand. That's how life is. That's the best way life works. So let's not isolate ourselves. Let's not think that we're separated from it all. But know that Spirit always provides, and that the givingness of life of God personally to me He is always in place and available to me once I'm open to that idea. And I fear not, and I go forward firstly courageous, and I put in whatever it is I have to put in with a great heart, with all my soul, all my power, and all my mind, with joy, dancing in the delight of knowing that I am of spirit, and spirit takes care of its own. And that's how it is. So this week, let us contemplate all the beautiful things and all the beautiful ways in which you and I can be the gift, in which we can consciously give, and get out there and cannot wait every single day to choose to do that. We sang, love is my decision. Well, let's do that every day we get up and choose that love is my decision, and love is the givingness of life back onto itself, and stay with the promise to ourselves every morning. And I can assure you, when the nighttime comes around, you will sleep as sweet as any beautiful little baby will sleep. And that's the truth, and so it is.
We invite you to experience Dr. Moira in person on Sundays. Our services are at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., and childcare is available. Please join us. If you enjoy these messages and would like to make a donation to our center, please visit our website at redondocsl.org. Thank you for your support of this ministry.